Thank you so much. Okay, so now we're going to transition to the panel discussion. Dr. Levan, Dr. Obenchain, Dr. Wan, and Mr. Bogan will join us for the panel, so I'll give them just a moment. All right, so I'm going to start with questions for Dr. Obenchain and Dr. Nellis. So your university Grow Your Own programs begin with high school students taking college level coursework while still in high school. How do you reach high school students and encourage them to apply for the program?
Well, I can talk a little bit. We're just getting started with the pilot, 1-to-1 pilot with Purdue. The main way that we're starting that is outreach through the schools themselves, talking with and meeting with the counselors that are going to, and school administrators who are going to work with those students. We've certainly offered and will absolutely show up and talk to any class of students or any set of parents. But that is, because ours is a very clear partnership with school districts, it has to start with the teachers and counselors in those schools.
Yeah, and I would agree with Kathy because ours is a partnership as well, obviously with school districts. So the way that looks across the districts that are part of our Tomorrow's Teachers program, it varies based on those particular districts, how they're structured, how they do career readiness, career awareness kinds of things. So the high school facilitator that I mentioned works very intentionally with their high school guidance counselor staff to coordinate those efforts and use whatever process they have within their districts. We also have done a variety of things where I've gone a number of times and talked to an entire sophomore class because that's the group that districts are recruiting from. We've also been intentional about showing how the Tomorrow's Teachers program can line up to what districts are already doing in terms of a cadet program that may be happening during the sophomore year. So we're definitely partnering with those districts. And then one of the things we have learned that I think is really important that we did more of it this year and then we'll do more this coming year as well, is communication to parents to help them understand both the benefit but also the importance of these classes because they are college courses, right? They are going to stay on a transcript. They are going to impact the GPA. So we are also increasing the parent communication side of it as well. The other thing, just quickly, that I would say that the districts have been intentional about identifying teachers in their districts who can serve as very positive and encouraging role models. And the teachers that host the students who go out into the classrooms for the field experience piece have really helped start to recruit and kind of talk up and encourage students as well. So that's how we're doing it currently. Good question.
Thank you. And then likewise, a little bit about the school districts. How do you work with them to be sure that you're effectively preparing teachers to meet their needs?
I'll go first on this one and then Kathy can jump in. For us, I think it was the way we started. So we co-developed. So there were a couple things that I knew we would need to hold to related to which courses would likely be part of the program. But then they helped us design the hands-on field experience piece of it. They helped us make sure that kind of the way we were going to do this just fit with their district philosophy and what they were comfortable with high school students doing and going to do things, with other college students, for example. So I think for us, it was about engaging them at the very beginning of the process. Really, they helped kind of come up with the idea and help support my application for some internal funding. And then we have continued to meet with that same planning group at least 3 times each year to just plan and revise and step back and make sure that it is meeting their needs. And we adjust as we need to. So we're responsive in a way that I think they really appreciate and help meets their needs.
I think I agree with Leah. The partnership with the individual school districts is key. What we've done, we have some dual credit courses, but we're also tapping into dual credit courses where students actually earn dual credit with a university other than Purdue. So and those have we have some state guidelines on what needs to be incorporated in that. So we're following those, but it is very individualized. Our pilot is working with 2 different school districts, and we're having to actually work out and talk through different scenarios and different courses and different sets of experiences that work differently for different school districts. I think that's also a bit of a it's wonderful in the sense that it has to be really specific to each school district, because each school district has different needs. I think it can be challenging because universities aren't always quite as nimble as we would like them to be. So there is a constant navigation of what can we do, what can we not do, and how do we find our way around or through this particular hiccup.
Excellent, thank you. For Dr. Levan, so you mentioned several resources for recruiting and supporting diverse teachers in Michigan, including the advisory group and the ambassador and partners program, as well as the communities of practice. How does MDE promote these opportunities so educators are aware of them?
It's a great question. We don't do it as much as we probably could or should. We have a number of formal and informal means. So we have formal channels like memos and press releases. We have more informal means, such as directly emailing teachers, administrators, other educators. We do publish a newsletter monthly. We share things like this in the newsletter. We are lucky to have some funding, so we have some consultants working or contractors working on this work, and they host webinars and information sessions with districts and individuals who are interested. And then most recently, we've gotten into the social media market and have a number of channels that way, and we found that's really positive. But we're always looking for more outreach, and if anyone has any information of what works, we'd love to hear it.
Excellent, thanks. For Mr. Bogan, how does the IDOE collaborate with the Indiana Commission of Higher Education to recruit, prepare, and employ effective teachers? I know you mentioned several times that collaboration is key.
Yes, it is. Collaboration is key. And I want to give a shout out to Dr. Ken Sauer from the commission and his colleagues at the commission, because they have been very proactive in reaching out to us, to those of us here at the department, on not only this contributing to this report and the information that the report required from our end, but also in how we can work more collaboratively in the future. He and his team have been enhancing and working with their partnership with Credential Engine. And Credential Engine is through what's called Credential Registry, is a cloud-based library with information on all types of credentials. And so we've been able to provide some licensing information, approved program information, options that individuals who are examining colleges across Indiana, or maybe career changers who are looking at options across the state, can more easily get this information through Credential Engine. So it's this interaction between our agencies is something we want to explore and continue to strengthen as time moves on, so that we're not, I mean, we all have shared goals, but sometimes in the past we've probably worked not together as much as we could have, because we all have the same goals, but the more that we can share and work together, the better. I'm also, from a department standpoint, we're asking for commission or someone from the commission or who can represent the commission to serve on our new program review committee. The department is responsible for reviewing all new program proposals or teacher prep program proposals that institutions would like to offer in Indiana. And we would like to involve them in that review process and then get more of their feedback on that, so that we can target and share areas that are specific to recruitment and work more collaboratively in promoting these new programs across the state. So I think there are a lot of exciting things coming up, and we've had a great working relationship in the past, and I'm looking forward to finding new ways for us to work together through an even stronger, more active and proactive partnership with the commission.
Thanks, Scott. This next question is for Dr. Wan. What do we know about the national average of completion rates for teacher prep programs and how they compare to Indiana's rate?
I don't really know. There is a kind of a authoritative figure on the national completion rate. Mia or Catherine, maybe you have an idea, but it's a tricky thing. I don't think anybody like there's various ways to report the completion rate. So the we for this study we look at it's a little bit probably different from most teacher prep programs we report. So we look at anybody who ever enrolled in a 4-year program, and then from those pool what percentage. So our like number is around 41%, and then there were like I would say there were additional 23% who complete a bachelor degree but not in education. So the other, but I don't know of a national like figure for teacher prep program completion rate.
Yeah, I would agree with in May, just because teacher preparation differs so much by institution and by state. We at Purdue, some of our students earn bachelor's degrees in education. Some of them, we have one program where they actually earn a bachelor's degree in English with the concentration in English education. So that may not show up as an education degree, even though it is someone entering the teaching profession. So I think it's very hard to pin that down, and I also don't know of any national database that pulls all of those data together.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Obenchain, this one is for you. Is there a cost for the credits taken at the high school level? And if so, who pays for it?
Well, luckily, because of our partnership with IDOE, the 2 school districts that I referred to in our pilot, Whitley County and Lawrence Township, actually are using part of the grant funds to pay for the college credits earned. And I believe any of those college credits earned through advanced placement, I believe the schools are building that in. The same thing with dual credit and the same thing with Summer Start. That's a really important topic that we have to examine long-term in terms of sustainability, because is the school district, is the institution, is the Department of Education going to make this a recurring funding opportunity? And if we expand it, how are we going to continue to do it? For those courses met through the CLEP exam, those are free. So there is no other cost for those, but AP exams cost and Purdue courses cost, whether it's an online course or whether it's through dual credit.
Thank you. All right, I have another question for Dr. Wan. So from the study findings, were you able to glean any insights about how the intersectionality was associated with degree completion or licensure? So for example, what does the data say about students who are of color and eligible for free and reduced lunch? Are there any takeaways that might be helpful for states or teacher prep programs to support students' intersectionalities?
So the way we conducted our analysis, we didn't look at the interaction of like different factors. The way we build the model is we want to actually to tell the unique contribution of each factor to the probability of completing. So the way we interpret the finding is whether, for example, male students are less likely to complete a degree than female students while holding all other else equal. So we found there are more findings in the report. For example, the students eligible for the National School Lunch Program were less likely, right, to complete, and students in special education were less likely to compete, and the Pell Grant recipients are less likely to complete a degree in education. And then their first year college characteristic also matters, like students who are enrolled in smaller colleges or in college with a higher concentration of Pell Grant recipients were less likely. So there is reason to think that students who would be at a higher risk of not completing if they like fall into multiple of this like characteristics. I think those would be what we call probably high at risk students.
Oh, I haven't muted myself. Okay, I have one last question before we sort of close out. This is for Dr. Nellis. So from the enrollment trend graph, there was a large increase in the overall program enrollment in fall 2020, particularly among Hispanic or Latino students. You had mentioned that this was probably due to work with the high school to specifically recruit students. Can you talk a little bit more about that and what were some of the efforts underway at the school?
Yeah, and it's certainly that increase was not exclusively due to the Tomorrow's Teachers program, but we certainly know that some of that particular subgroup's enrollment did matriculate to us through a Tomorrow's Teachers program in one of our districts. So one of the district partners has a high Latino population, and when we started the program, they intentionally wanted to focus their recruitment efforts in that direction for a couple of reasons. One, because of having teachers of color that were representative of their community in their classrooms, but the district had also started a dual language program, and they knew they were very soon going to run out of staff who held the credentials and the expertise to teach in that particular program. So I would estimate, I don't have the data off the top of my head, but I would estimate of each cohort that they've had enter the Tomorrow's Teachers program, they've probably been 40 to 50% of those have been Latino students, and a number of them have been matriculated onto us at IU Kokomo and are current students.
Excellent, thank you. Okay, so as we wrap up, we want to encourage everyone to take a short feedback survey. Your feedback helps us to plan relevant and engaging events in the future. The link will be shared with you in the chat box, but it will also pop up automatically when you exit the webinar. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter and sign up for our newsletter for more updates. Our Twitter link and newsletter link will be in the chat box. If you would like a certificate of participation for today's webinar, please email Cora Goldston at cgoldston@air.org. We want to thank all of our presenters. Without you, we would not be here today. And we want to thank all of our participants for joining us. We hope everyone has a wonderful day. Thank you so much.